should have been checking this. This is good. Nico, actually look at this. This is fucking great.
Sorry. Hello everybody. How you doing? What do you send me? Thanks for sending me memes all over the fucking. When I told you that I was starting, great idea. Excellent, excellent timing. Hello everybody, welcome to the Gquuuuuux discussion. The only show that we watch Gquuuuuux and discuss it. There's never been another one, and there never will be another one. My name's Nico Bain, this is Ukrainian Zagok. Today we're talking about episode 9 of Gundam Gquuuuuux. What do you think of this episode, Zagok?
It was fucked up and kind of bad.
I also kind of don't like it. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. They missed. Our boys missed, you guys. I can't believe it. I'm flabbergasted.
I think, I've gone to bat for this show for a long time now, and I'm like getting a little sick of the reuse of like general scene setups of like, I mean, the replication of the Ava shots in the previous episode were one thing because it was.
You mean
It was lightened by the fun, admittedly pretty good.
The gunbuster, you mean?
Character stuff with Kishilia and Yan and the other guy, but this episode really made me just begin to think that like, is the intention with this show to make you think that the people that make this show have like a handful of set scenes that they're just going to run over and over again, because you've got the scene where Machu is like stuck in the jail cell, and she's got the prison bars, the shadows of the prison bars across her face, and she gets talked to from like a sitting position where she's not looking directly at the person talking to her, and that's a scene that's just from Ava. And then you've got the scene where she startledly awakes and looks directly up at the ceiling, which is another thing from Ava, the unfamiliar ceiling scenes that recur through that show. And then you've got a lot of the rest of this episode, which is obviously Lala, but also Kaoru, because even within Ava, they were effectively homaging Lala, and the moment where Amuro meets Lala with the moment where Shinji meets Kaoru, where they're situated next to like a body of water. And while that's not present in this episode, what is present is the kind of ghostly character Lala, and by extension Kaoru, being able to spot the main character looking at them from really far away, which is also something that happens in Ava. It's all strangely very tired and weird.
Even on those you know, on the sort of like gimmicks or homages or archetypes that they're sort of repeating. I think even ignoring that, it sort of misses the point as an episode. Not to even talk about the sort of like bad taste that maybe a lot of this leaves in your mouth, if you're like a fan of the show, right? Like, it is kind of, you know, I don't know anything about the origin or whatever, and I've not watched it. You know, kind of having Lala be like a prostitute just feels like weird. It feels kind of sad in like a way that you know, it leaves kind of like a bad taste in your mouth. It's sort of insulting in like, you know, a deeper way. You know,
I don't remember if this is. I feel like this isn't something that was like. It's present in the origin. I don't remember if it's like in material before that, but I don't think that it's like. I do. The thing is that like this show and really many shows that are like set in like the real Gundam story, what people refer to as Universal Century. A lot of the narrative elements that people say are distasteful because they don't remember them from the original series, the people that are like really nerdy about it will try to defend it in saying like, oh well, it was already present in like related materials that was written by Tomino, like, oh this is already a thing that Tomino wrote about in the novels, or it was like in the original plan for the series. It just didn't show up in the show. It's like a related like production note that wasn't directly stated. This is the case with the existence of like Anaheim Electronics, which is like, from what I've heard, a big deal in Unicorn, and the kind of thing that a lot of people, it sits wrong with a lot of people because they interpret it as being anti-Semitic, and then some people say, well, you know, it was in the original text of the production documents of Zeta or something to that effect. But there's this and Lala being a prostitute, and how early they show that Char is like megalomaniacal or willing to kill extraordinarily high numbers of people. What matters is whether or not it's like within the actual work, and it is not within the actual original work, and it does feel weird. And even if there was some kind of intention that you could argue
you
was
could,
supposed to be the case,
you could do it justice. It's
I'm
just
getting into the weeds of this a bit too much, perhaps.
yeah, you could absolutely do it justice. Like, I'm not saying that you can't have like a prostitute in a show, or make like a show where, or like a story where like a prostitute is the main character, and like it's touched upon, you know, respectfully. It just feels a little weird that, you know, it feels like it's not really important. It's just kind of there to like make you feel bad about Lala, to make you feel like a sort of like uncomfortable. It's like, oh, this is an uncomfortable situation Machu's gotten herself into, and she's in danger, and Lala's in danger. Yeah, it was kind of, it was bad. It was kind of bad. I didn't like it. I didn't like it very much. I didn't like the structure.
I feel like the sympathy was more pointed towards like the two younger maids, honestly, because I've already known this this like semi-canon backstory about Lala.
Sure, I didn't know it, so it just kind of stung
like
me.
Exactly shocking
ugly
to me because I'm already semi-familiar with it.
I mean, it's not really
like
shocking. It just feels like, I don't know. It's just a little gross, I think. But yeah, and like they don't, like, it's not an interesting thing. I mean, maybe they just did it for the lower fans. I almost said another word there. On June. But yeah, it didn't feel like meaningful in any significant way. The format of the episode is, I think, pretty bad too. I get that like it is impactful to cut to Machu already entering the atmosphere. I didn't really like the splitting of the story into like you know, 4 parts of flashbacks.
I actually didn't mind it. I've heard that this is something that arose out of Anna's involvement with this episode, which was surprising to me. I didn't expect him to write any more shit for this. But apparently it's so, and the flashback scenes where they're on the Soldon were written by him. And further beyond that, apparently Lala was like not in this episode originally. It was like a different character.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not great. I don't know what else to say. I didn't really enjoy it. I hope that it works off to something bigger, but it feels like it's sort of the connections didn't feel meaningful. The setting didn't feel like it was used well.
Postboy says it feels cheap, like they don't even use it to say anything. It's like, wow, I feel bad, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that bad about it, honestly, because I don't know. This is like I don't know. There's no shock value to me for it, but at the same time, I really disliked that she just it's really become completely clear to me how entirely too free they are with the new type space thing. They just go into new type space from having a conversation with each other. They could have just had a conversation with each other.
They definitely have been doing that. Basically, the whole show. It's just like they want to have these like moments of new typeisms, but it's.
I feel like this is like.
I think I mentioned that like episode 1. It's like it's weird that we're already having like the new type flash moment, because they're very careful about when to use those in Tomino shows. So just having them from the start and being constant, like every episode has to have like a new type flash to some extent. It feels like it's missing the point, and like it kind of misses the. Yeah. Actually, on a positive note, I think
it's actually even worse than any. Like people have complained about this pacing of this show, and it occurs to me now that like a lot of the people that complain about pacing vice versa. A lot of people have said that the pacing of this show is excellent, and that older Tomino anime that's much longer has bad pacing. And a lot of the type of people that have an issue with the pacing of older Tomino anime usually have a problem with the robot fights. But the robot fights have grounding and are interesting and have consequences within the show in a real way, whereas to me it's so much worse to have this new type space every episode instead.
On a positive note, I thought that the new type moment with Shalia Bull was actually pretty good. The idea that he could essentially read Machu's mind because he's like a developed new type.
It's like a real scene. They don't like the background doesn't cease to exist, and all of the grounding and nothing about like anything that they're talking about seems to have any weight.
It continues the thought like an idea from start to finish. This idea that she's being interrogated by this guy that essentially can read her mind if she gets like too emotional or she gets too much in her thoughts. So it's like a fun sort of showcase that she's kind of like out of her league in this scenario. Yeah, I also, it's interesting. So Tomino, like you said, he kind of gets criticized for having weird pacing. But I do think a lot of the time when Tomino's criticized for it, it's essentially people complaining that he's very purposeful about not having to explain everything to you and kind of like allowing you to sort of figure out things. F91 is a good example of this because at some point in F91 you essentially switch colonies, I think. We talked about this between ourselves. And that's like a big moment where a lot...
Zeta, this was mentioned.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we mentioned it in Zeta recently because we watched the first episode of Zeta. But
oh yeah, it does happen in F91.
Yeah. That one stuck with me because it's a moment of like... He skips something big, which is like the move, when Seabook's dad dies, you kind of skip to a good amount of time, and then he's part of the resistance, and he's already like infiltrating into like the mansion where Cecily is. That part felt to me the first time I watched it like a little hard to follow, but it is kind of set up in a way that like you have an understanding of what's happening, and it's not too easy to follow after you kind of get your footing. And I think Tomino is very purposeful about that, especially post F91. I feel like he sort of like becomes more accustomed to, you know, letting you get your footing and then you follow the scene at your own pace, and instead of like trying to like spoon feed you everything, even though he does it in the earlier shows too. But I think this show kind of clears up some interesting ideas or some interesting things that Tomino does regarding that. He never misses a chance to show you, you know, fun acting, fun moments. He you know, he wants to show you good scenes. He's not just cutting things out, you know, just to get to the point quicker. He's cutting things out, you know, to get you to fun scenes and to get like the story rolling. So, you know, we've been watching a lot of Tomino shows, the first episode of Tomino shows recently, because I just been wanting to do that, and I asked you to do it with me. And they're full of acting. They're full of an understanding that like watching the character do things that are small but interesting and unique is you know, such an important part of the fun. You know, we watched Sabungle recently, and there's similarly a moment where Jiron enters this like structure, and they're gonna like steal something, right? You know, in this case, Machu steals Lala from a mansion. In that case, Jiron steals the Zabungle with Rag and her friends. And we get the moment of Jiron walking up to the structure, you know, sort of like evading the lights. One of the kids makes a comment like, oh, you know, like about like the way that the robots aren't really patrolled by humans, so they're sort of like set there automatically, so people get like scared. So like that sort of tells us something about the world, you know, that these people have a lot of money, but maybe don't have like a lot of manpower to like handle, you know, a lot of those stuff. So maybe they're not as rich as they want you to think they are. And then Jiron has this moment where he takes he scurries up to the structure. He takes a stick and sort of like moves it around the camera, or moves it around this like empty space, just to make sure there's like nothing there to like any trap or something. These little moments, you know, they're so easy to skip, right? Like it would be extremely easy to just skip and be like, okay, you know, we have the characters outside the structure, then Jiron says I'm going in, and then you cut to like the inside and like Jiron has already gotten in. But Tomino has a good understanding that like these things they're fun. It's fun to watch these characters do things. It's fun to have them do something. The audience think, okay, that they're doing this. Why are they doing this? Oh, they're doing this because of this. And then you move on to like other interesting scenes. And then interestingly, you get another scene after that, which is Jiron pokes his head out from like some lower place, and then he pokes back in, and Rag is like, why did you do that? And he's like, sorry, I just poked out without thinking. I poked out too fast. If there was somebody there, they would have caught us. And then it cuts to a character inside the structure, and then they're having like another conversation, and by the end of the conversation, somebody walks into that room and says, we have intruders, we found them. The intruders are you know, the alarms are on, and we're trying to get them already. So he chose to show you these two character-driven scenes with like interesting character acting. You know, the characters doing these like unique things, sort of having like these like fun, memorable moments. But he specifically skips what you would think it would be the important part, which is them, you know, setting off a guard or getting seen by a guard, and suddenly the alarms go on. I think this shows that like he has a really good understanding of what to cut. And in this episode, I can't help but think like, man, I really would have liked to see Machu set fire to this mansion, like, or like get in any way. Machu is this like young girl, and she's a fun character. She's a fun, like, energetic, you know, electric character that you want to see. The idea that like she set fire to this place, and we just skip over that. It's like, why didn't you let me watch that instead of having like, you know, I don't know, like Machu get found by like two prostitutes, and then they tell her that they're gonna like, if a customer finds her, they're gonna like fuck her or something. Like, Yeah, it feels like the priorities are weird. It does. I want to say like maybe it would have been nice to have more than one episode here, but
Say that about a lot of
I don't know. But
areas.
yeah, but
People were really mad that the Titans characters got one episode and then died.
we should reach out. You're right. By the way,
Thank you for addressing my text message that I sent you.
that's okay. Okay, they're fine. They're chill. Guys, press 1 if you're chill. Okay. Let's see. I was ready for them to rush stuff at some point. Hopefully, this episode rushed so others could breathe. Although with the meager amount of info we got, probably not. Nah, I agree. I wasn't shocked. They portrayed it very plainly. Sorry, Pokemon mates don't look that troubled. Yeah, they didn't seem that troubled. It even seemed like they. I did wonder, like, okay, are these kids like gonna get prostituted eventually? I don't know. It seems like the one that's kind of shy.
I'm actually shocked that you're not. Okay, one of them clearly had been, and one of them had not.
Mm-hmm.
Is like the.
Yeah, that was kind of the vibe, yeah.
The dichotomy that they set up. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why.
It's
why
honestly like a weird choice, but yeah.
It's like a weird choice. Like, why was one like this oblivious girl, and the other one was like the rape prostitute victim? I don't know. I agree. This Charlie scene was done well. The word filler has rotted anime fans' brains. True. Shaves mentality. Lol. What do you think about what I said about the scene though? Like, I think.
With respect to you wanted to see her
final point, I guess.
I agree that it would be like physically interesting.
Yes, there are some things that in film are just they're fun to capture. You know, that should be a priority. I think not so much like just getting on with a story and explaining to us the fact that Gundam is now becoming like a Marvel multi-universe franchise, just like everything else. You probably could have skipped or resumed that a bit quicker, and most people would have gotten the idea. I mean, that's already kind of been established in the show by the show's premise already, but yeah.
I did sort of like how they shot the interior of the estate. I liked that it felt endless. But again, it's such like a short scene, and a scene with like no real narrative significance.
I didn't really like it. I don't know why this like. I mean, I guess it's like a fancy prostitution venue. Like, it felt weirdly.
I feel like it's supposed to be like Epstein-y or some shit.
I guess. It felt weird. I don't know. I didn't really like the state actually. The inside was like this foggy match, and just kind of felt like, you know, like I was playing some
that was like the
dungeon crawler.
Liked, but they didn't go far enough to like give it enough shape though.
Like I was playing a Labyrinth of Reframe on Nintendo Switch or some shit. Like it didn't feel like meaningful, or meaningfully like distinct. I didn't really like it.
You'd feel more conflicted if Machu was involved in creating the escape plan, executing it, and then being upset when the key focal point of the plan refuses. Instead, I'm not sure if she touched it at all.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Like we never even get the chance to.
It's a little different, but I kind of see it.
Yeah, we don't even get the so like. This feels like 101 filmmaking. It's interesting to see these things. Like, it's interesting physically to see these things. The idea of like Machu burning a house. How does Machu burn the house? That's an interesting question. But if you're gonna have something like a plan that for an escape or something, it just feels so natural and rudimentary to have like at least a moment of like, will it work? And Tomino, again, I hate to compare everything to Tomino, but I guess it is Gundam. You compare this to like. Immediately, what comes to mind is the scene in Dunbine of the guy being like, you know, it's been memed to death. Like, do you know about boxing? And then the guy's like, huh? And then he just punches him in the face. And there's like so many layers to why that is funny and works. because you have these guys that like have learned about Earth recently and Earth culture, and then you have this like Earthling, and he's like, hey, did you know about this? And he's like in good, he's kind of like incognito, and they don't really know what he's about to do. Like, and so there's like an excellent sense of like, will it work? How will it work? What is he gonna do? And it's just it's such a good opportunity to have like something interesting happening. But again, they just decided it wasn't important. That it was more important to have like Lala tell us about how, you know, she will meet, you know, Amuro and Shar, and she falls in love with both of them. They have to like explain that this thing that like is kind of interesting in the original show and the original Tomino shows, because it's not like stated directly that like Lala falls in love with both of them. To some extent, it's never like directly stated, but they just have to like explain these things, and it was so important that they did that they couldn't even give us like anything else. They're literally using Tomino shots. I think it's acceptable to compare the boxing guy. Now that's a good guy. That is a good guy. Sorry, I talked for too long. Please, please talk.
I have 2 whole notes left.
That's okay. I think neither of us have that much to say.
I like how the mountain ranges were shot.
What?
Which is kind of damning with faint praise. But I did like how they were shot. There was like a nice sense of layering to them.
Wait, what part?
The mountain ranges.
Oh, the Dazaki.
When she like, first wakes up.
The Dazaki mountain, like Yanakiko sort of mountains.
A little bit, but like even in the static shots, I felt like there was a nice sense of like visual layering, even if they're not like literally layers of like different background books that are moving at different speeds to create panorama. It still felt like I still thought it was like nice looking.
Yeah.
But again, it's like such a fucking. It's so not the point of the episode.
Yeah. I think this is probably gonna be a short one. I really don't have that much else to say. But go on with your other point, your other notes.
There's the cage motif again. They're I don't even want to say it. There's a damn fence around the estate. She goes to Earth in the first feeling entrapped by the sort of cage of the colony, and then she gets immediately put into another cage on this estate. It's not really
Umineko reference? Question mark?
A what reference? What did you say to me?
Umineko reference?
Yes.
He didn't get it.
But also only insofar.
He didn't get it. He didn't get it.
What are you talking about? I've read that far.
I just then laugh at my excellent references and jokes. Dumbass.
I didn't think it was that funny. It's also just it's cages are a thing in Gundam. Honestly,
that was a joke.
Honestly, they're done better in the stuff that Tomino directs.
Yeah.
That motif in particular.
For that one before, yeah. What else is interesting, I guess? Well, Lala's in there's another Lala from the original series. That's a little weird. You know, we sort of made some bets at the start of the show. We sort of made some bets.
It would be exactly that, but
yeah, we sort of made some bets at the start of the show saying there's no way this character will appear or something. And I feel like at this point, you know, I was very adamant about like I don't think anybody's gonna show up, and I've been wrong because we know Char is the character. We see the zombies are characters. We see Lala's character is a character. Who else has been a character? I mean, a bunch of like side characters and stuff.
of course.
Bascom shows up. Yeah.
Moskan.
Mosquiton, all the guys. Artesia shows up. It's true. Will, I guess I don't know. Like, The fact that like we got Lala and also we literally got Lala. Now it's like, oh, by the way, Lala survived and went to another dimension. Um, it's odd. It's getting to a weird place. Um,
Well, you know,
all I'm seeing here is the
it was
simple
always gonna
truth.
be this. It was always gonna
No,
be
no,
this. The
this
second you saw Char, all bets were off. It's like, oh
this is
God, it's one of these.
this is where
Because
you're
they're
missing the
just
point.
like what's wrong with Kara? Why can't they make anything that doesn't involve a time loop or time warp thing?
That is,
Like they literally
I was
have they
thinking
made
like
something that doesn't involve a time warp or time loop
I w-
since like the year 2003?
I was thinking, man, they sure like they sure like the narrative device of the Eva rebuilds of having this like inevitable time loop shit. Um, that's like confusing and like it makes
I don't think it's confusing. I think it's the simplest thing in the world.
well, it's confusing in the
And
sense
it's
that
not
it-
what's actually confusing is something like new types, which is a thing that has it's a concept that has applicability to other e- existing concepts that exist in real life that speaks to something real,
that's not
while
what I
at the
was
same time
saying.
not being totally.
I'm
My point is that like as far as science fiction concepts go, I don't like time warps because they're not
yes,
as interesting as like an original
yes.
science fiction concept or a science fiction concept that's
What
more.
when I say it's complicated or confusing, I mean that like for example at the start of the rebuilds, you get the blood ocean, or you get as the rebuilds go on, you get like the sort of crucified. I don't remember if they're mass-produced Evas even in the rebuilds, but like you get the sort of crucified mass-produced Evas like showing up in places where they maybe shouldn't show up, and it's sort
Mhm.
of implying like maybe this is like a weird literal loop, uh, or it's implying that some things are looping and some things aren't. Like, and then this is also kind of having that effect where we're sort of implying some sort of time loop, but we've also like timeline wise this is closer to Zeta than it is to the original series, but like now we're sort of having moments where like Lala's still expecting Char to come back and Char's still like um you know having like hiding his identity and stuff, and like now we like Camille could show up for some fucking reason, or whoever could show up. Like we're just like in a weird place. It's confusing in the sense that like it asks the viewer to make a lot of questions that probably won't be answered. Um, that's what I meant.
3 episodes left, buddies.
Yeah, it's crazy that's only 3 episodes left. The next episode also kind of promises some sort of mature neon conflict in a sort of colony arc.
We promise. We promise.
True. Machu's perception of the Earth changing is kind of interesting. She sounded disappointed in the Japanese dub when the gravity is the same. Uh, she does. I wish we kind of had more moments of her like interacting with Earth in interesting ways. Though I guess like even Gundam itself has kind of stopped caring that much about stuff like that. But even then, Victory Gundam just gave us like a bunch of scenes of like the kids having interesting moments in like low gravity when they first go to space and stuff like that. So I don't see why maybe we couldn't have the same. Actually, I feel like
Nico.
Double Zeta also does that.
Nico. Victory was 30 years ago, bro.
It's true. It's true. It was also directed by Tomino. We got Lala and totally not Char. Amuro is coming, guys. He honestly at this point, I could see it. Wonder if Gquuuuuux will get a Blood Ocean.
I don't. I
Much he seems to
will
fixate on
kill
it.
myself when Amuro shows up. I don't want it.
If they, actually, Grief makes a great point. What if they made the Blood Ocean? What if they just get
Yeah.
that? What if we just get that? Machu does fixate on the ocean a lot, and the Blood Ocean is a very unique part of Eva. Watch it happen. Watch it happen. What if Shinji shows up?
But why? But why would they do it? I mean, I guess why would they have the fucking purple and green one as well?
I know, right?
What a bunch of shit.
Well, anything else?
No, certainly not.
Well, I also really don't have that
Well, I
much to
guess
say
what
about
do you think about the theme of causality? What do you what do you
it. I
think
don't
about
know.
making this show about how like what if there was never this guy in my life? What if so and so thing never happened to me? What if I had never met Shar and I just remained a prostitute until I died?
I was I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, I kind of like how we get Shia LaBeouf,
Shit.
um, to be such a fucking gay guy for sure. Like it's interesting that he's just like we get this like nobody from the show, and then suddenly he's just like, by the way, this guy was like so madly in love with Shar, he's willing to fucking shake the earth for him. I think that's kind of an interesting concept. Like if this hadn't happened, this dude would just fall in love with Char so hard that he would be like Char's number one fucking super fan, even bigger than like fucking Haman. Uh, it's an
I
interesting
don't
concept, I guess. I
know
don't
if
know.
that's the correct characterization of Haman. Whatever though. He's talking with people. You know? Yeah, I've run out of shit to say. It's it's embarrassing. We're kind of back to square one. When this shit got announced, I was just horribly embarrassed to like Ava and to even like Tomino anime, to think that like the how to put it, the big representatives of Tomino's influence were like this.
Hmm.
I liked how episode 2 had Char hint at him being influenced to what led him to take the Gundam.
Bro, comprehend the man. Atarimae no hito. He just
What's
gets
up,
it.
clan
He just
battlers?
gets
It's
it.
true.
The clan battles were the key. As soon as clan
Comprehend.
battles stop, we're just like, I
Comprehend.
don't
You gotta get
know.
a new computer and join us for the last episode. You gotta get a new computer, get all caught up, and then join us.
Clan battles were the key, okay? We were so good at clan
And
battles,
then we
bros.
finally complete our fucking multiverse theory with the Darling in the Franks podcast.
True. How it connects. 02 shows up at the end. She says, Machu, we've been waiting for you. And then the Super
Zero
Smash
Two
Brothers
does
Ultimate,
show up at
the
the end
Super
because the
Smash
fucking
Brothers
new anime
Ultimate theme
stalking
just starts
show is
playing.
gonna start at the end of this one.
The Super Smash Bros. Ultimate starts playing while 02 extends her hand at Michu, uh, and Ray and Asuka show up in the back, and Palman and Fa, everybody's here. That'd be great. Uh, that's deleted. That's classified. Yeah. 10 out of 10 episode. 10 out of 10. Perfect episode. I really loved it.
And we do mean everybody.
Well,
I didn't even see. I didn't. The people who are usually the Gquuuuuux likers were unironically rather quiet today.
I mean, I've
Like
been a really
I keep
positive.
it pretty. I keep my perspective on it pretty balanced because I have Akiman and Kotobuki Tsukasa who are into it, and then I have my haters that I love keeping track of, who are just despising it even beyond what I can muster, or really like much far beyond what I can muster. Like I'm just a bitch in comparison to them. I'm totally trashy, but Kotobuki and Akiman did not say much today.
Yeah. I mean, I've been pretty positive about the show all the way through, and even I think this episode was kind of bad, straight up. I'm still hopeful that like the end of the show could be like fun and good. I don't think like the show is just going downhill, but you know,
Pull up.
I do kind of think this was probably the worst episode so far. What was wrong with the episode? Guess you're gonna have to go back and watch the beginning of the podcast, buddy. Um,
Go back and watch the episode.
or the episode, yeah, you could do that too. Crazy concept.
And I was just being nice. Comprehend and I had a little conversation about it last night, after you went to bed. And I was like, it's well made. I have complicated feelings about it, but it is well made, and you should watch it. And now,
No,
um,
it's still well made.
I feel like I
Again, you shouldn't judge a show
it
just
all.
because like one episode was bad. Um, if
Nah,
the next
man,
three
it's
episodes are good,
over.
okay,
It's over,
that's
bro.
stupid. Shut up. If the next two or three
It's
episodes are
over.
good, we will probably just be like, yeah, it's a fun show.
It's
It's not a
always been over.
masterpiece.
We've
Maybe
just been in denial the whole time.
okay. Well, uh, yeah. Anything else?
No, I said I had nothing like 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, I gotta wrap up. So, uh, thank
Put
you all
the
for watching.
put it on screen. Put it on
Oh yeah, let's
screen.
put the meme on screen. One more meme for the fans. For this one. You want to read chat, by the way, little bro. Use this at the end. Thank you all for watching the Gquuuuuux podcast. Hopefully next episode will be a little more fun. I have faith. I saw multiple big Zams, and I guess the Zabbies are gonna hang out. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Bye bye.
There.